Good morning, everybody. This is Dr. Rao. I'm starting my room on mind management. These sessions will be more fruitful and uh, really people can participate in by questioning. That's a way I want to encourage everybody, all my friends, to come and join me in exploring this topic of mind and its management and why it is so important that we understand it at any level of life. Okay, whether you are just trying to be a good student or whether just to be a good person, good husband, whatever you take it, or you're a good worker, good creator, you need to have a steady mind. You need to have your mind rather helping you, not pulling you down. So, as they say, the mind can be your enemy or your friend, right? So, if you look at that way, this is really going to be very important sessions. Um, of course, a lot of uh, modern times demanding that we work on our minds and that we work on our attention because that is being attacked by so many people, right? So that's why I want people to come and ask me questions. Let me see, Sundar is here. Maybe he will come up. So that's the way I think we'll learn more. Hi, Sundar.
Hello.
How are you? Hi, Sundar. How are you?
I'm doing good, Dr. Rao.
Okay.
Very good morning.
Very
How's your
good.
weekend?
Very good, very good. You see, I was just speaking with my mic muted here, but other channels are open. I was telling the people why it is mind management so important and how we are going to go about it in these sessions. I want to encourage people to ask me questions rather than me telling a big lecture. That way we can explore these things together. And I can share my input and then see whether that will be useful for people. Basically, what I was saying was mind can be our friend or enemy. And there are so many ways we can make it our friend and then thereby really do a lot of good things in our life. And I see a lot of people are really having problems because they are losing attention in this information age you know and then people are uh, really falling prey for mental health and also lack of concentration, so many things, right? So I don't want to go into all sorts of things that I can talk about. I want to, so what do you think, why is mind management important for you, Sundar?
Oh, Doctor, definitely. I think it has fascinated me for a very long time, but I'm still like not sure. Uh, I believe once you manage mind, I think probably 99% of the
Yeah,
quality of life or lifestyle
yeah,
is taken care of.
yeah.
Without that, no matter what, we are not in a state of, I don't want to call it as happiness, probably a state of fulfillment,
Yeah.
or a little bit of grace,
Mhm.
or value creation. Nothing happens without a proper mind management.
Exactly. Not only that, but it has become a problem too. As a physicians, we see people who are really having problems because they are unconditionally, without really knowing, unknowingly submitting themselves to all sorts of attention deficit things that are promoted through the media, through the education, through so many things. You see, the attention that we are capable of is being constantly attacked by so many things that are coming up in the society, like social media, like the movies, like all this drug use, all those things are affecting. I kind of came across this in 80s when I first came in. There was so much dementia at the time. Okay, they don't have this information overload, but still people are stressed out, right? And people are really um, losing their minds, in the sense they are losing the functionality of the mind, senile dementia. A lot of people, after they retired, they immediately really put their minds to complete inactiveness, and then that was not good for them. Okay, from there my journey started, and then I had the fortune of studying Eastern ways of health systems and philosophies, and all that wisdom that we have in the East. That really changed my approach to mind management, and I think I benefited from that. I kind of had been telling people since 1985, I'm in this business of stress reduction or stress management, or how can, as a human being, we can enhance ourselves by understanding how to maintain our body, how to maintain our mind. So now you see where I'm coming from, right?
Yeah. Yes, doctor, I completely agree with you, and I think that kind of mismanagement of money as cause for many issues as well as
See, Sundar, you are not clear because you are in a little bit of matrix once in a while. So maybe you need a place where better reception or something. You are okay for a while, but then you go into the matrix. So anyway, that was my purpose. And then as I worked with the people, as I really went on working with people, and as I studied the mind as per modern science, and as the mind envisioned in the yoga science and Ayurveda, I came up with a lot of hacks that we can use from ancient wisdom into our modern life. So that's why I'm starting to write the book, where is the modern challenges. One of them is this information overload, overwhelm, or burnout. And the ancient solutions. How can we concentrate all this? Okay. So those kind of things are very, very, very good to really participate in practice. I think we have a Willie here. Hi, Willie. How are you?
Hi, Doctor. I am, that's a bit unpolite, just starting to eat something, but a bit only. And accidentally, because you are a doctor, are you a medical doctor?
Yeah.
I had kind of migraine. Is this the right pronunciation? Migraine?
Uh-huh.
Do you know what I mean? And you have some strange phenomena in your eyes, like flickering, or some have headache and so on.
Yeah.
And so I hesitated to come to the stage, but I feel better than 4 hours ago. It was not extreme, but I wonder why it happens now. I have no idea about the cause, but I'm always open for tips and tricks to avoid it. But I don't expect it, actually. Let's go to your topic, of course. Thank you for your topic, which attracted me because mind management is interesting to go from there and think that in a kind of everything is mind management. But you have to explain.
So this is not going to be just this 1 hour, really, but it's going to be a series so that people can know that this is being addressed in a comprehensive manner. I don't want to be just 1 or 2 lectures, but probably several days and several weeks I will do this so that people can come and freely engage. They can listen to the talks because as they're recorded, but also they can bring in more questions or their own input of how we can help other people to manage the mind better. And I will bring in all that I have read, I have known, and I have put into practice to my patients, with my friends, right now, I'm in the burning out to people. People are physicians or health care workers who are burning out because of this EMR, too much information and all that. So we can discuss like that, but then there are practical matters of mental health and practical matters of relationship problems and practical matters of drug abuse. All these things will be coming under our review. So I want to make this like a place where people can come and participate and contribute, at the same time learn, and then maybe eventually they can improve their life. Okay, that is the mission. That's why I'm going to do it in a consequence of so many weeks, so that people can know, yeah, we can go to the classroom and participate in exploration of this mind, right? I can take you all the way from simple concentration for a study to all the way to self-realization and even relief from your own mind. But I will go according to what people want in their life, and then that will be practical and something not very esoteric. Does that sound
sounds good? Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. Now you tell me, how do you have any questions on this mind management, or any experience, any comments that you want to tell me?
If simple is not first, okay, then I will do.
Yeah.
I'm a knowledge worker since I'm doing research and sitting a lot of the time in front of the screen.
Excellent. Okay.
And that's not good for the health. You are not mobile, and your neck is kind of fixated because you stare on the screen.
Yeah.
And so on. And the other thing is, up to now, despite I was concerned for years about productivity methods, like having, let's say, time boxing as an example. Because of the many interests I have, I still am troubled by being distracted. You know this under the headline of procrastination, doing something which you shouldn't do now, and you cannot you cannot go away and think, no, I have to shortly look to this Twitter or to this guy or to this YouTube channel. Just short. And this is so childish in a way.
Yes.
I know that. And if you have some mind management for this, I would be happy.
Yeah.
As an example.
Yeah, that's something I talked to several times, but we are going to discuss in detail too. Basically, what they are throwing at us is they are throwing us at all the constant distraction. It's like a continuous distraction. Those distractions really making the attention span go down. People used to have around 12 seconds, I believe. Now it is around 9 seconds. And that's why they have to present all these things very quickly. There is no room for deeper discussion, reflection, and contemplation, and all those things are really going out of fashion. Rather, people are looking at them like a bore or something. But actually, it's not really good in so many ways. We know teenage girls from 2004 to 2014, I think, they did studies. The suicide rate among teenagers who are working with Instagram went up to 180%. So there's gross health, problems, and also the mental health problem. And even really, if you want to learn a skill or something, you want to enjoy by focusing on that and then learning that. Even that has also become very tough for some people, and many people are losing their attention because of this constant distractions. I talked about it at length, and also I have what is called digital toxicity. You can detoxify for that. What you do is you kind of see how much time you're spending on the devices and what kind of things you are doing and how much time you are spending to really sit back and really think through and contemplate and improve your mental faculties of memory and imagination in a meaningful way. This is now driven by external people driving it. So they get up, they immediately see the device and they see some email or something that may not relate to their meaningful activities of life, but they are driven by that. And then suppose somebody won an award, and then they're talking about the award all the time. Sometimes it's okay, but then all the time at the expense of good, important work. Some match is going on, football or cricket or whatever, and they get dragged into that kind of thing instead of focusing on what is important for them. So those kind of things are there. So I talked about digital detoxification so that we can really use the modern technology in a meaningful way, but identifying the problems it can create. I think people are not aware of it. That's why I go out to the university students and speak about this, how to be smart about modern technology. I am somebody who adapts modern technology very quickly. I'm an early adopter, but I also have liberated from them, and I can shut off everything and then be myself. And actually, I'm very happy at that time. And so that is something that happens all the time, So that is something important that we should consider. We will discuss about that digital detoxification. Very important. Willie, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I also know the term. Some years ago, I was in the role to doing a bit of a lecture to people from the hotel industry about the future of travel and hotel hospitality and so on.
Yeah.
And there were already hotels where you give away, as you stay, you give away your smartphone.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. So it gives a new atmosphere for everyone. You are not disturbed anymore by someone speaking loud when you want to have silence and being distracted and thoughts starting. And so I know this from this context. And while I was listening, I thought by myself, probably the thing I need is to go deep into this awareness when it's happening.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Taking time to be aware of it and taking time to decide, like now I stop this because the whole that is made like as if it is made to sabotage everyone with all these wonderful distractions from YouTube to TikTok and so on.
Exactly.
And then maybe I can be more rational. And the other thought is coming up that I really have to switch off for the moment until the decision. That's my personal idea, because it's also with TV is the same.
Yeah.
Zapping is just the same thing in other media. So discipline is the healing. I know that, but how to get this discipline, how to strengthen the will and the insight. That's always the point.
See, I do what's called awareness practice. See, I have this wellness club I give to my students who enroll for in the morning or evening. So I tell them in the morning, keep the devices away for an hour. And then when they come to the class, I want them to be here and now. The whole class is about, doing exercise and deep breathing and meditation. All those things are there. But the whole class, the whole 1 hour is about exercising, being here and now in awareness, not in thought stream. See, that is the fundamental difference between the ancients and the modern people are. There are several differences, but the first thing is we think everything is in thought, and beyond thought we don't think anything else, but they have really identified awareness being away from the thought structure. So you can be aware. The moment you wake up, you are aware that this is daytime. I woke up, I'm in my bedroom, I'm in my house, and this is down. And and I can see everything around me, you are aware. And some thought comes like I have to do some work, or I have done yesterday this, I'm going to be doing today, tomorrow, like that. That thought doesn't stop at one thought. It kind of forms its own stream. They're so quick, so mercurial. People fall into that and then they go on with that. Instead, I say, just be in touch with your senses, what is happening around you. And then come to the class. In the class, I tell them principles like you're going to be here and now, and you're going to do deep breath, and you're going to do both sides of the body. Be aware of what you are doing to the body, how the body is responding, and all that. And establish yourself in presence at the end of the class, and take that with you to the work, and be in presence of whatever you are doing. That means you are attentive to whatever you are doing. And then in the evening again, come back and reflect on what happened, and then go to bed on a very empty mind by actually working on what's going on in your mind and taking it away. So this kind of thing I teach every day, and I practice every day. So I am more like somebody who want to be in the present all the time, because for me, that is the life. It's not being in the past, it's not being in the future. We can think about it, but don't go and live there. That's what many people do. So what I say is, awareness is the ultimate actually, because we are not our thoughts and feelings and body and all that. We are that awareness that is behind all this. But that's a deeper philosophy. But for now, just being in the present, do everything with attention. That's simple thing. And if you can do that, then you will see you are thinking too many things away from what is your task. So a great sage, Ramana Maharshi, he taught me, it's not your work amount that is a problem. It is the extraneous thoughts you get from unnecessary things, from your memory, from your projections and all that. And that is maybe causing problem about your attention and paying really complete concentration on whatever you are doing. So do the work, but do the work with complete attention. And then you don't allow all the unnecessary thought coming in. So that is the problem most of the people do. So this kind of leaves you to be in flow. When you're in the flow state, and you are working, when you're doing, they go very fast and you don't waste your energy. So to be in the flow, to be in the present, that needs to be understood. And then first of all, see, am I doing that every day? Am I going to the work, or am I thinking something? This multitasking that people talk about, that is fundamentally flawed, because you are dispersing your attention. So what I say is, even if you are doing 4 things in 1 minute, each one maybe 15 seconds, that 15 seconds be attentive with what you are doing. Then that way it will be easy. Okay.
And this was an example of mind management.
Yeah.
It's about attention management as
exactly.
part of it. Yes.
Exactly. Only one principle. This is the principle I tell my staff at the clinic and hospital. Pay attention to every action. See, we may do the brainstorm, we may form a mission, we may start several steps to the mission and all that, right? But then when you are working, just stay with only one thing at a time. Pay attention completely to whatever you have. Like I'm here with you, I'm going to be paying attention completely to what I'm saying, what you are saying, and that kind of paying attention, not expecting anything, just to be in attention to whatever you are doing. Okay. I think Sundar is here too. He may want to say something about that. Let's see. Sundar, are you?
No, I was actually thinking about what Willie asked and your answers as well.
Yeah, so, and I just want to involve it. Willie can talk anytime he wants, but I just wanted to involve. Okay, Willie, go ahead.
I'm just having an add-on question to that. When we talk about awareness and attention, so are we talking about putting our mind body and energy totally into one task. Is that what attention means? And what exactly is the difference between attention and awareness? And would you please give an example of how to be really aware of?
See, when you wake up, you are aware of what is going on, right? You are aware, right? That focused awareness on anything that you're doing becomes attention. Okay? Instead of bringing a lot of thoughts in there, you just focus on what you are doing and bring in thoughts related to that and then operate on that. But then what happens is other things, there are so many stimuli come at us, right? From the phone, from the computer, from the colleagues, from our own memories, our own imagination, all these things come. So when you really practice in the morning to be taking deep breaths and being attentive, you kind of establish your nervous system better by starting in the morning. First 1 hour is very important for the nervous system. But if you don't do that, and then these days the TV, other things are all coming in, your mind will be taking different paths, and then it struggles to get back to the present and here and now, and being attentive to what you are doing. You may be doing it because you have a threat that if I don't do a good job, I may have punishment. That's not good energy. What it is you want to be involved in what you are doing. You want to be really showing interest in what you are doing, and not a selfish interest, but more like I want to do a good job, because that is what is needed for me. I'm a professional. I want to get good results so that I kind of feel like I did proper job and all that, right? So the best thing for that is be aware of your circumstances, your own situation, your own body, your own mind, your own thoughts, where they are. And once you are aware, focus that becomes attention. Then you are focusing completely in the present moment, in the present task, what is in front of you, right?
You're in the matrix.
Yeah, I think you may be in a region that's not good reception, probably.
I would like to hear Trevor. I don't know him so much. He's rather new, I think, on the app also. Anyway, what comes to mind is when we have so many options and interests.
Yeah.
How do you, Dr. Rao, prioritize?
Yeah.
Because I'm having this Todoist app. And most of the apps are rooted in the getting things done method in a way.
Yeah.
Like not to be distracted about, oh, I have to decide about this. I may not forget about that. Yeah. And then you cannot concentrate because you have to memorize what not to forget, what to decide. And so you write it down and you get calm again because with all the things, new decisions or new contexts pop up, or new ideas, even project ideas. And so that's my only thing I can do. Because this is a shadow of a kind of shadow of the productive mind, that it's popping up new ideas and kind of.
Willie, what I found, what I found about that is, the more you're clear about your life and your purpose of life, or your important things for you in your life, meaningful for you, the more time you spend on that and come to a kind of a purposeful way of living, then you will give importance to those that are like a relationship, like a career, like a creative art, whatever you think that's important for you, and you focus on that, then you feel satisfied, and then you're going in the right direction. But lots of times people don't spend any time on reflection, on finding out what is meaningful for them, and then they may be driven by needs, or economic needs, or family needs, or just going by the life and all that. So people who spend some time there, they will come up with this. Ancient described 4 ways you can live. You can live for pleasure, or all the things that are associated with that, or you can live for money or other accumulations. But you have to do both of them in a righteous way. That's the third way. And there is another way where you have seen too much pleasure, and the pleasure is no more important, and you have accumulated a lot of money, everything, but it doesn't have any meaning because you feel the emptiness inside, which is the case with a lot of people I work with me on burnout. They lost meaning. They are empty inside. They have really have to worry about this, right? So that kind of thing is there. Then they don't have a purpose that they have defined themselves, and then they go wayward. Okay, let me welcome my friend Joan and Kyle and Trevor also. Joan, welcome. How are you doing?
Good morning, Dr. Rao.
Good morning.
It's actually Jean, not
Jean.
Joan.
Okay. I'm sorry.
No worries.
Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me. This is a great room. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you. As I was saying, this is not going to be one-time room, but I want to make this a series where people can come and explore with me what is mind, what is the mind management for them, and how we are going to share the knowledge from modern science and also ancient wisdom. That's my mission. And I'm going to share whatever I know, whatever my experience is, and we will see how that goes. Okay. So, Trevor, how are you?
Good morning. I'm doing very well. I hope everybody is having a good day so far. But yeah, I'm doing really well. Thanks.
Yeah, very good. Okay. So we will continue this, but I want more like questions from other people, like their share too, so that I don't go on just talking, but I want to be dialogue rather than instruction. Hi, Kyle. Kyle is here too. So.
Hi, Kyle.
Yeah. So.
Sharing the room.
Okay.
And hope many people come listen to you.
Oh, okay, that's good. I kind of recording too, so if people can listen. That I'm glad that you are sharing it too. That's fine. So we were talking about attention and how we can stay away from these devices, how we can have a flow like work environment, and thereby mental health is also better. So this is going to be all over in the beginning, but there is a structure for this. Basically, modern times, we have the science development, which is very good, but then we also have this problem of, unconditional or really unconscious use of our thought and not being in the present, just daydreaming in the past or projection into the future. That is the thing I want you to understand and limit it, and then keep your thought and everything to what is meaningful to you. In that, we have this mind management. We can manage thought. We can manage awareness. We can manage attention. Thereby, we can have a meaningful life. That's what I was talking about. Okay. So, any questions, comments, suggestions? Just feel free. Okay.
Dr. Rao.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Trevor was going to say it, but I'll just go first.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate this topic, and especially because you really do embody that, Dr. Rao. I think you live so much with purpose.
Yeah.
So I feel I have a purpose too.
Yeah.
And yet how to express it is still, being shown to me.
Mm.
I think, and also for me, I think it's also about community and connection. Like when I'm connected with other people who I really feel can see me.
Yeah.
Then I feel more and more motivated.
Yeah.
But also all kinds of things. Like lately, I've been following this autoimmune protocol elimination diet.
Yeah.
And I even fasted for the first 5 days or 4 days of the year.
Yeah.
And I'm talking with this other coach who is a nutritionist, and she cured herself of most of her RA symptoms, all of them.
Yeah.
And so that inspired me. I've not really been that highly attuned to nutrition. I try to eat well, but she had me take out grains and seeds and dairy, just be very, very rigorous. And I'm really grateful because it has had an impact on my mood and on my brain. So sometimes the changes we make, I also have been doing a flower essence remedy. So even these subtle changes around the physical can impact my ability to be able to follow my purpose.
No doubt about it.
Very complex.
No doubt about it, John, because Jean, no doubt, because we got to nourish the brain in the proper way. There are some superfoods, and that's real, really. Ancient Ayurveda spent thousands of years on this: food as the medicine, food as the treatment, and also enhancing the what they call medha, that means the intellectual power. Okay, that is there too. And now we are going to nutrition in a very minute way, so that we can give you nutrition according to your composition of your body. In Ayurveda, they have doshas, but in modern science, like a genetic background, genome. Okay, that's the evolving science. I'm very interested in that. I'm taking it. Jean, why don't we do next week or some other time, when we focus nutrition and brain health? That's a good topic. And the inflammation too. That inflammation is real. Okay, that is one of the reasons we focus attention on the inflammation in the modern science. Definitely, let's do that, because that way, see what it is you have a purpose. You have found a problem, inflammation. You found some solutions, and you are eager to share, because we are not here just by ourselves. We are all one. Right? That way we say. That means everybody's problem is my problem everybody's too. At the same time, I can share with my brother, and that's why we are coming here and then trying to share and really help each other with problems of inflammation. And you will help a lot of people by bringing focus to that. But that is your purpose in life. That's where you get direction. That's where you get the energy and all that. That's a wonderful thing. So you found your purpose. You found what's important for you on a daily basis. Then what happens is you'll be focused on that. You have more energy from that. But not necessarily everybody will be following you or understanding you or really appreciating that. They have their own level of understanding, their own level of challenge in life and all that. Our job is to just come and share and expect people to participate in the exploration, in the pursuit of the truth of any matter. But they don't have to follow our line of thinking right away. They will take their own time, right? So that leaves us in peace and be able to do what we want to do. So we'll keep our mind in a certain way, right? So I think you're doing a good job about that anti-inflammatory thing, and then we can continue to explore it. And there's so much more information I can also provide as a physician, as a yogi, as an Ayurveda person, and all that. Hopefully, people will bring their own expertise, and whereby everybody else is benefited too.
I'll tell my friend Amber Bariaktari, she's on this app a lot, and she's the nutritionist. She should really be one of the main speakers for that room.
Wonderful.
I would say, I would say that my purpose is around helping people connect with their authentic self, release traumas, and heal from the conditioning that we have been immersed in this paradigm of competition. And helping people break through to seeing things in a new way. I feel that each of us has a role to play by healing and transforming ourselves.
Exactly.
And also, just because I lived in Korea for 7 years and I am Asian American, I also feel very aware of the it being the Asian century and the need for the traditions of Asia and the yin energy to become more part of our lives. So Anyway, those are some of the things that align with my purpose. My personal purpose also feels really large, so I don't really know exactly where to start. So that's another question I have, but I'll pass the mic.
You know what happened to me, Jane? I don't identify people by region anymore because that I found is kind of divisive, or people have reservations. I call modern people versus ancient people, right? Ancients have some lifestyles, some things that they did closer with the nature, and that they are more intuitive. So those kind of things we can take it and then combine with our scientific progress we have in some things. External things, science is very good, but internal matters, maybe the exploration into consciousness and all that will be good, So that way we can bring the wisdom of Asia. For example, China, I know Indian young energy very well, I use the symbol as my identification for a long time because I understood what they're talking about in, what they're talking about, and all that, So it's a question of identifying ourselves that we are only on one earth, one human tribe, and we are all really in the same energy. That helps to relieve a lot of differences, a lot of divisions, a lot of conflicts, all those things. I don't know, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it's easy to get lost in our own perception of what we think is, I don't want to say real or not, but I mean, like we believe what we perceive to be accurate, and then create our own realities based on those perceptions, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, I've said it a couple times in a few different rooms, but I think that it still applies here. Is like, to me, there's two different ways of thinking, right? There's like the materialistic thought and then the anti-materialistic thought, and like majority of the causes of like your own stress is based on materialistic thoughts, right? And so you can get skewed in terms of like your priorities because there's a lot of distraction, right? There's constantly things coming through, and it can sometimes be hard to triage that sort of stuff, right?
Yes.
So it's identifying and kind of splitting those thoughts into two different categories, right?
Yes.
And it's the same idea in sort of like terms of like meditation and stuff. Like when you're meditating, I mean, when you're being distracted from the moment, right?
Yeah.
And so like when you see those thoughts, it's like, you just literally, I literally just tell myself like thinking, and then, and it sort of like triggers that thought to just leave, and then I can come back to where I need to be, right?
That's very true, Trevor, because conditioned thought and going beyond conditioned thought, that's the spiritual, right? But if you happen to read deeper meditation practices where they say you can go and stay in your real self, which is serene and not really muddled with a lot of thoughts, but rather those thoughts stop. So that is where beyond the thought you go into your serene, peaceful, quiet self. Then you don't have to sit down and do the meditation. That's an advanced practice. But what Trevor is saying, I agree with, because most of the people don't know that they are conditioned in a certain way. Even this countrywide nationalistic thing also is a conditioning, but I have a global view. I feel like I'm on only one earth. I don't have to identify with the nations saying that I am this, I against that, and all that. It's more like accepting everybody. All the patients that come to me, they come different nations. So if I see them with that less, they may have some superficial conditionings because of the culture, because of the language, because of the times they were brought in, or socioeconomic. But essentially, they are all human beings. Once you cultivate that kind of attitude, all these filters fall off, and not that we have become such a noble because of the attitude, but it's like a common sense attitude for me. For example, these astronauts who went out of space into the space, they saw from there the blue earth, and they have a spiritual experience. They felt like, hey, it's our home. It's the only home. We all are there. But then up there, we are fighting with each other by identifying these unnecessary things. You can have a affection for a country, but why does it have to identification be separative, divisive force for other people. That's what's happening with the religions, countries, and all. That's why I can, to the global view, I say we were once ancients, we had some wisdom, but now we are on a different way of living, different way of scientific exploration, all of that. Why don't we combine the best of both worlds? What Trevor is talking about is, if you are conditioned certain thought, that thought itself can really make a lot of problems for you. So there are antidotes for that. That is where you sit down in meditation, you identify, you reflect basically, and then you identify what is your conditioned thought, what is the reality. And it all depends upon so many factors. But basically, all religions want you to really identify the conditioned thought and break loose of it so that you are more in union with the one energy that we are all in. That centeredness, that identification with our inner reality, all that. I had some talks, maybe Gene, you will be interested, those talks on what is the highest healthy state is this self-realization, where you have a quiet mind, but you have underlying joy and also ability to focus and be peaceful and serene. The moment of thought is not there means there are less chance of stress hormones, and deep breathing, focusing on things, and then really calming your mind twice a day. These things will help that way. Then you will be quiet and calm, but focused and alert in what you are doing. In meditation, these things come up. When they come up, the buried thoughts, the previous samskaras, they call them, subconsciously placed, and they will come up because you have thought about them unconsciously. You have not entered them consciously, so they continue in there, lurking there. And when you are thinking something else, these things come up. So what do? You just let them go by being the witness of those thoughts. So there are ways to do that, but I think Trevor is bringing out a point of really approaching the thought and then really understanding the structure of it. And even neuroplasticity is doing that. What we're doing is we want to affirm, assert positive thoughts. Thereby, you will become more positive. But if you do negative, reinforcing that will result in depression. Say, too much thinking, running around becomes anxiety. I'm being very simple about this, but basically, thought itself is not our identification. We are having thought. That means we have to find out who that we is in us. And otherwise, if you are very erudite, scholarship and all that, you will have a thought package that runs pretty fast along those lines. So you want to step away from that. Who is having this scholarship thoughts? Who is having this erudition? And that is the one you got to find. The ancient Asian cultures, they found that Brahman in India, Tao in China, Zen in Japan. So many names are given for them. Even by the contemplative Christians have that too. The Sufis had that too. So we can go on those things, but basically, thought is a faculty. And beyond thought, there is a mind that is not really having this continuous thoughts. You can reach there just by sitting down and calming your mind. That is a skill that is lacking these days. So I'm happy to teach it to people in my wellness class, and they all try to establish themselves in that witness mode and go and work their works, and then come back and tell me about it if they have any problems.
Yeah, I think, there's obviously a lot of distractions and constantly, things being thrown at you, but, there's two different sides to the brain, right? I mean, there's your, left and right side. So,
yeah,
I think the left side is, more or less where you want to be. And obviously you can kind of go back and forth, but, with the left side, it's listening and analyzing and reason and logic. And once you can kind of understand thoughts that come through and put those into, I guess, a understanding from a deeper level as to what that thought actually means. I mean, it's easy to sort of understand and separate that from what is true, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that is a classification for our convenience. The left and the right is like a left analytical mostly, and the right is intuitive. There's a lot of fact into that. Like yin is the right, and then yang is left. But then the classifications of the ancient cultures are a little different. It's more functional. It's not just only anatomical or gross, right? The trick is not to say this is bad, that is good, but there's a complementary, both systems. So if you study neuroscience, absolutely fine. And then, but there's certain intuitive, what is called wisdom-provoking things may not be there. But if you follow the functional classification of the body, because in ancient times, body, mind are not separate. They are together, but they have several functional areas that they have decided for understanding. And when you approach like that, it's much easier to understand where our thoughts, where our understanding, where is this witness thing and all that. So you can easily see, not analyze people, because analysis can be paralysis, but you can observe people, you can understand people better if you understand what is neuroscience is trying to say. There's a correlation between anatomical area and then the function, and then of course molecular, all the hormones, everything plays a role. But whereas ancient classification of a human being having 5 layers around our essential self, which is that awareness, which is that witness, that is witnessing all our thoughts, all our emotions and all that. These 5 layers, the first layer is the gross body, and the second layer is the energy body, and third layer is the thoughts and feelings and all that. And the fourth layer is our understanding body. And then fifth layer is where we have this intuitive awareness, and that is really around the real self. If you understand all that, it's much easier to really see where the human beings are and how they are functioning. For example, modern way of doing this thing is you sleep on something positive thought. If you have all the also thought, at least try to make them positive and sleep on them. But ideally, you will go on to graduate where you will sleep on an empty mind. That means you have to sort through all thoughts, and then you are going to give the mind complete rest by sleeping without much thoughts that are remained there. You kind of purge them, you kind of clean them. That's why they call cleaning that mirror of mind at night. And in the morning when you get up, you don't want to get the world rush in. Rather, you establish yourself in your real self and then come and approach the life. There's a difference there. So these things can be done, but we have to understand thought is dynamic, thought is like wind, thought is very difficult to, if you want to control. No, don't control it, but observe it. Make it objectify the thoughts. Then they will slow down and they may come to single thought, a negative, positive. Then you can replace the negative with positive. That is cognitive reframing, we call it. In Sanskrit, they call it like a changing thought from negative to positive. Then you can go beyond that one thought, and that is when you say, they say samadhi, and here we say kind of bliss or kind of nirvana or whatever the things that they want to describe the phenomena. But that is there. That is where the no mind is there. And when you are in that energy, your mind functions very well. You won't get tired of it after that. Anyway, that's an esoteric thing probably. We will go into that way. But what Trevor is saying, I agree that we need to understand the thought movement and have a mechanism where we can really do this a little bit. Welcome, Sanya. Sanya is my friend and my student, and I've been with Amisar for some time.
Yeah, I've been listening in, Dr. Rao. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So this is going to be a series, Sanya. So you can come and pose your questions or pose your observations, your own wisdom, that we will share here. Okay.
That's so awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'm happy to join in, of course, on the Saturday, and I've been hearing, of course, everybody's shares, and really appreciate, of course, the insights that comes from always, of course, Dr. Rao. He's been my guide for the whole, almost a year now, right? Over calendar-wise, it's a year. But
we met on the Wisdom, and then we became friends.
Wisdom app, for sure. Join us there too. Dr. Rao does his talks sometimes there too. So I'm just listening in. So I know with the questioning, is, of course, for me now is the focus on nutrition, right? And moving forward, because the body needs, to be well as well. So if you're looking at overall wellness, this is kind of the thing, right? And you talk about the mind too, right?
Yes.
And this is what we've been working the whole year, and how wonderful was that? Like, every day that we do, and I used to have remnants of the anger that I had from the previous relationship throughout the year. It released, and finally just got rid of it. And I was just so happy at the progress. I mean, it's not doing it overnight. Everybody wants it overnight, but it doesn't like that. It's slowly released. But the question of it is that, once you have that thought that would have been negative, now it just straightened itself out. And like what Dr. Rao says, on the positive. And not only that, in terms of physicality, that also improves, right?
Yeah.
And now we just have to put the right things into the body because to nurture it, right? So.
Yeah. What Sonia did, I was talking to her about being aware of that anger. And once she is separated from her, that anger, and that anger goes down. You can all experiment with fear or anger, anything like that. If you allow it to come to the surface and express it completely, you may allow it to sustain like that or go deeper into that. But if you step aside and then being the witness and just observe that anger, in the beginning, maybe a few seconds, but then once you learn to do that, that anger itself, it will go down in quality. Fear also, it will go down in quality. That's what I was talking to her. And when we focused on that, that became a really important thing for her to notice. So she's also becoming observant, being the watcher of what's going on within her, not being obsessive compulsive about it, but just being who we really are, that watcher. And then you will move into that energy, this persistence of thoughts forming a network on themselves, one after one, that will slow down. As it slows down, you can change that to, that's called pratipaksha bhavana, from negative to positive. It's a cognitive reframe. Like Sanya was saying, she was being positive about it, and that's why those things have come down, and she's focusing more on the positivity. Okay, as it is, Sanya has a very gentle nature, but she can also see that anger can swell up in her. Then you can observe it, and thereby you gain the power of not being the victim of your emotions or thoughts.
Okay, I have a question, I guess. So, can you sort of I've been sort of looking into sort of like the linear perspective of things. So I guess I get it, but can you speak to that? Can you sort of explain that and how that created? I think it's sort of along the lines of what we're sort of talking about, right? Is creating a system of, it's a system of creating an illusion of depth on the surface, on a plane, right?
Yeah, you see, there's a structure that I think the reality is perceived with senses is one thing. The reality perceived with our intuitive self beyond the senses is one thing. See, when I study these things like a human experience from ancient to moderns and all that, what happened probably, one explanation was René Descartes, that is the modern philosopher from French. He wanted to say, what is that I'm experiencing? If I'm experiencing, how can he say I'm this? Then he said, I think, therefore I am. And he did not go beyond that thinking to that awareness I'm talking about. Ancients really went in there and discovered a lot more there. So beyond thought, if you can venture, then you can see the limitation of thought. The thought what always want to measure, but this intuitive feeling is not measurable. Intuitive experience is not measurable. Once you're in there, then you can see thoughts are happening to you, coming, rising and going. So you're more like a deep sea, silent, and you have these thoughts of waves on the surface. But if you identify yourself with the surface thoughts, then they will be like all the time pulling you towards that, not into the depth of silence. So the ancient practices of being simple outward life and not really focusing on the accumulation and the pressures like we do in the modern times, they kind of focused on what is the human being inside? What is that intelligence that we have? We can turn and see our own thoughts, our own emotions, and understand ourselves. So they spent a lot of time, energy, everything about turning inward and really investigating into that. So they went into deep meditative states where that's beyond this cognitive noise that we have, in the modern life, and really be able to be in the silent mind, like, they have much more revealed through that kind of capacity. That is unheard of in modern times because only very few people do it. But it can be brought to understanding, especially with artificial intelligence coming. It is going to do a lot of mundane things, a lot of outward things. This is an excellent time for us to use that time that we can save with all this artificial doing so many things outwardly. You can turn inward and find out yourself. I think that's a good thing that's happening to the humanity. And then you will be out of your own confusion created by your limited thinking. But if you can identify that and get out of it, then thought itself is limited because they come and go, they change, and they are not permanent. So that's why they are limited. But if you identify with that, if you think you are that, then you are making the mistake. That is the understanding of the ancients, and that's why they were able to go much deeper. And they didn't have to pursue happiness and contentment. They were that. They discovered that within themselves. And then they produce a lot of works that are significant for the humanity, and then they worked for the other people, worked for the world, not just for the selfish purpose. As the modern thing comes, this ego and profits have come, and that kind of corrupted us, So we have consequences of the ego, we have consequences of the profit and all that too. This our unfulfillment, that I have to go for something to do fulfillment, was there in our modern life. That was not there in ancient. They were fulfilled and contented within themselves, and they discovered energies that then come out and serve other people too. That's my understanding.
Yeah, and hope you don't mind if I maybe ask a follow-up question or I guess statement maybe.
Yeah, please.
So I guess in terms of like your thought process, I mean, does that mean that your thoughts are linear and will always sort of, or in theory, like should remain in a straight line, right? Because like you're always moving forward.
Yeah.
But distractions and emotions and ideas are what takes us off of our straight path.
See,
and so is that like, and so basically like, while you're on that straight path, it's about identifying things that will maintain that straight path and not deviate from.
See, like a scientist.
And now, I guess if that makes sense, right?
Yeah, like a scientist, Trevor, how does he come up with this completely new thing? Not because of, they may build up on somebody else's earlier findings and all that, but then they break through the limitation of that by coming with something completely new, then everybody else can see that. See, upper desire, they are all stuck in the thought. That is the limitation of thought. But if its thought is allowed to function and take it where it goes, that is different. But if you want to think at a certain pattern, and that pattern is the truth, that's the problem. See, the intellectual also goes there, and then he doesn't want to stop anything, and they want to pursue it. He may come up with some creative idea. But then the creative idea, as it is born, it becomes a history too. But when it is born, that moment, that is the truth. Broke through some limitation of earlier assumptions, and then came. That's how we make all our scientific discoveries, right? Somebody found Earth is round. Somebody has found there's so much of universe there. So we are still finding it. It's an ever-expanding universe, and we are ever-expanding. We are trying to find out and do it. But the thing is, most of the people are stuck in the old barren of thought, and not allow it to lead to something more creative into the now and later, but rather than stuck up in the patterns of thinking. That is what is not good, is the mind. But if you allow creativity happen in your mind every day, every moment, see how it feels. We can think about something, but then beyond that, what is that I want to do? So there is a practice in ancient times I really liked. It's called more like a satsang, association of good people. That means not according to the social fabric or socio-economic status, but everybody met as human beings, and they kind of, for example, we take mind management. They take a topic and they don't want to assert because I know the truth, but they want to explore truth together by posing a question to the opposite mind, and the opposite mind comes from its own creativity, what it can think about, what it can imagine, what it can create. So that kind of pursuit of truth of any matter was the essence of those gatherings. So a lot came out of that kind of practice. Socrates, like, I don't know, I'm going to go and explore this. That releases the creative energy. Instead, I know this is the way it has to be, and I'm going to weave so many theories around it so that it can say this, my point of view is right. That becomes an argument. That doesn't become a dialogue where you are going to explore. So that's why it's a very subtle. You cannot dismiss thought as not useful, because it has its own place. But when it comes to inner explosion, that's the question where it comes. Am I clear, Trevor?
I think so. So okay, so like follow up to that. So I guess like sorry, I just had a thought and it totally left. I don't know right now, but
yeah, that's okay. It will come back. Yeah.
So I guess like if I'm understanding this correctly, then like I mean, it goes back to perception, which leads to projections, which leads to what you see around you. Is that it, like, I mean, more or less? Like, is that it?
Perceptive attitude is very important, because modern education is based on most of the memory and fact building and all that, right? But the people who really excel are those who are allowing their perception beyond the sensory. They have this creative mode, and then they come up with a lot of original answers, not there before, and that could be very subtle, but that becomes such a big deal. Why do we give Nobel Prizes and everything for these new people who are discovering? The truths are there, or sometimes we discover, but lots of times that is not in the colloquial language or the thinking pattern. It has to break through that. What I am saying is, if you make your mind break through your own conditioned patterns by, first of all, staying with it, reflecting on it, and identifying what is old, what is repetitive, mundane, but not really truth in that particular moment. It's not born, it's something repeated, So mechanical things, that's okay. Like you want to build a plane, you want to have that knowledge from board, that's okay. But in a dynamic human being, if you put that kind of, for example, I meet Trevor, and I find Trevor is very persuasive about questions. And you may be that day one day, the other day you may not be, you just relax and you just want to listen. If I come to you with an image that I formed about you, then I'm missing you who are right now. Because human beings are dynamic, right? They can be like that. So you don't want to put them in a certain pattern and say this is the way. That is the problem with the human relationship, because you always want to build up an image, and then when they go out of the image, then we feel like we have missed them, or we don't even feel like that, because they have to come into our mold that we put in our own mind. So that is where thought-led relationship as a human beings is kind of detrimental.
I'd love to share something.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, I hear that, Dr. Rao, and I'm thinking at the same time, like, yeah, each of us is always trying to balance yin and yang.
Yeah.
Sometimes we need to listen, sometimes we need to assert ourselves. And also what you're talking about, being creative, that's about being embodied in my mind, you know, being perceptive on many levels, all my senses, my heart, my brain, and I'm not allowing past rigid patterns to, like, conditioning to predetermine my experience, but being fresh and new in the present moment, and then understanding what is my purpose in that moment.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's what you're saying. And yeah, I think it's important that we develop practices like breathing in sync with our heartbeat to align our mind and our heart, and using our bodies, like being more in our bodies than in our brains. I feel like that is what is important right now.
Yeah.
But then I have this question, like, if the ancients had it all figured out, why did we go on this new trajectory of modernism? Like, in my mind, we wanted to experience the ecstasy of the division of yin and yang. And now is the time when the yang could take us all down, and it is needing to surrender. It's like a collective addiction that is going to kill us.
Yeah,
so we need to surrender that.
In the inherence of yin and yang energies, the opposite is already there. Yin, by submitting, it conquers. Okay, whereas yang, by dominating, it has to withdraw. Then only the balance will happen. Okay. Otherwise, if you go on yang, that's what is happening. All doing, also aggressively, right? And that's why we have very little attention to our being. So what it is we are stressed out because we have these thoughts continuously going. That's what happens with stimulating thought like that in the morning till night, and then sleeping on that without really giving a gap where you want to calm your mind down in the morning and the evening. If you have a simple practice like that, that you kind of time out, you don't have to call it a big thing. Just take deep breaths, just a time out, 5 minutes, and don't get carried away with whatever that are happening in the mind. And you take like in the meeting, for example, I go to the hospital, lots of time I have choice of leading those meetings, right? So what I do is I withdraw and listen to everybody else in that meetings because of the business meeting. And then at the end, I will just come and compile everybody and then see everybody's opinion and all that, and see what our goal is. And that goes much better than if I continuously say, oh, this is the way it has to be done because I have the authority, I'm going to impose it on you. Nobody will listen. But if you listen to them first, that means you have gone into your in energy and then listen to them. Then you can project the yang energy of positivity, what you want to do. They both have the role, but it's a misconception or using yang energy all the time. That's what is happening in corporate. Because what is the modern culture thing? Egotism and profit orientation. Ancients did not have that. Okay, the whole drive of them was to really overcome the egotism. Even the focus of the religious was that, and so that you can land up in your real energy, which is the self they talked about. And then they don't have this profit orientation, rather give it for the God or divinity, or for the welfare of other people. The whole way is important than one particular individual. So this kind of orientation towards materialistic outward things versus inward things was where our modern people are now struggling to get back, are now struggling to cultivate these meditative practices. Even, how many people are listening to me, for example? How many people are really applying that? Simple things. Take deep breaths in the morning. And then when you go to the work, every 1 hour, get back to it for a minute. How simple that is if you religiously do it. And then in the evening again, come down and don't drink, don't see the movies and all that, but stay with yourself and then figure out what happened today. What are the things I need to learn from? What are the things I need to follow? That kind of clarity. If you have that, then you sleep better. If you sleep better, your health is better. So these are something important because we are allowing our mind to be stimulated by so many impulses from outward. And then we are allowing it to run at what happens is thought is done unconsciously. Some of it will go into your subconscious and stay there. They call them as samskaras, or tendencies of thought, vasanas. So if you don't know how to manage them or clear them every day, then you'll be in trouble. So that's why these practices of meditation, calming down, and paying attention to what's going on within us.
So my question is, why did the ancients not persist? Why do we have the problem of needing to relearn their traditions?
They did persist.
Why did modernism take over? What, did the ancients not have some strength to be able to
No, that's not it. Because each development of moderns happened in different continents. And you see, there was not that much of communication. But there was, if you take ancient philosophy, it has taken root with the founders of the United States, and they are thorough. I'm so many people have that. I have so much evidence of that. They have read and they have followed that too. But then modern scientific breakthroughs and more orientation towards comforts and really having good times and all that. So the difference was, the ancients wanted to go within themselves, inward, and then experience the bliss and everything. Whereas modern people are drawn into more like an outward, temporary pleasure and all that is more important, and the lifetimes are got down with that. Okay, and the turnaround is because of the level of education. Now, some of the societies were locked. They were not allowed to go out and spread and all that, right? And later on, as the centuries opened, communications and traveling and all that, these things have come. Now we have wonderful opportunity because we have this wonderful internet, wonderful works that we see. I was away from India since 1981, right? So at that time, I didn't even know anything about that Indian philosophy and all that. I only heard a little bit, but not in the main life, there are certain things. But basically, I didn't understand the significance of it. But staying in this country and really getting in touch with that wisdom was easy now because of our communications. So you can communicate with around the world, and you can communicate with the works that the ancients did, and then go and read them. Chinese also, Tao, I know Tao because I never heard of Tao before. But now I know all the Tao. One of my friends in wisdom also, he talks about this all the time. I go there and we kind of exchange our notes about Brahman and Tao. But many people are not interested. But his work of bringing it every day introduced that to so many people. So he's an American too. So he has no difference like that. So it's a question of, it's not somebody did it or not. What question comes is, what am I doing with this in my life? I look at that way, Then you observe, you live it, and then you communicate, you share. Not in the spirit of teaching somebody, but in the spirit of sharing.
Right, I hear you. I guess I just also know that there was a purpose for the Yang trajectory to be, to dominate. And so
it's not purpose, it's an increase of suffering.
Maybe. But I don't know. It seems like that was the way the energy had to happen. It had to divide and had to have the yang energy dominate. And now it has to surrender.
Yes.
So I just, if the ancients were that powerful, hopeful, then perhaps it wouldn't have happened that way.
We did not listen to them, Jean. That's the thing. We did not look into that deeply. We did not allow it to spread simply and all. But it was there for taking for anybody who wants to learn. So it's a question of, leaders. It's a question of scientists going this way. So I think the pendulum always comes back. It always comes back to the center.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. It just had to happen this way. We had to maybe forget and now relearn.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr.
More, I think, relevant to us is what is that is happening within me, within my life. Suppose I come and talk about these things, I don't have them in my life, then I become a hypocrite, right? And nobody will be really by that. But, I am very silent most of the time. And I do practice all these things and continuously exploring them. And I really experience the bliss. I really experience the peace. So I just share it with my family, with my friends. And then as a physician, I see so much of mental health, so much of suffering because of the attention deficit that's going on, and so much of lack of joy in lives, lack of blissfulness. So that's why I thought I will do this series on mind management, understanding it, not really saying that we are bad or good. That's not it. But what is our understanding about mind? What is the current state of my mind? What is that I can do? What are the things I can aspire for? Like I said, get up in the morning, don't touch the devices. Be in awareness for an hour or so. Try to establish yourself in the present by deep breathing, by exercising and all that. Your energy will go, your health will go, will be very good and all that, right? Then throughout the day, as you go and work with your computers, devices and all that, take a break. At least I recommend to my physicians 1 minute every hour. Just take a break in the sense, completely break, and then focus on being the present moment, breathing break. That is deep breathing, 6 or 7 times, but then all your attention should be on the deep breathing. And that kind of practice through the day doesn't allow you to run with the thought. And then in the evening, come and structure them. What did I do? What are the interactions I had? What are the reactions I had during the work? Somebody insulted me, how did I feel? Somebody praised me, how did I feel? Those kind of things. Then you will see you are allowing to ego function, or you allow go up and all that too. So you kind of laugh it off, and then small things you kind of dismiss them, and bigger things you kind of write it down and get it away from your mind, so that you can sleep much deeper, and that also restores your body and mind. So these simple things we can practice when you really understand what they are, and have a routine, and then really do that every day. Then it will be good. So understanding modern life, understanding the stresses of modern life, and how we can balance them. Not taking medications for every small thing, or not taking alcohol or drugs for that. Those kind of things are destructive, I think. I don't do any of that. So I'm very clean in that way, not only now, from the beginning. So I've seen so much suffering with alcoholics, so much suffering with the drug addiction, so much suffering with this ego development and all that. So when I'm treating people, I know what they are going through. So luckily, I was never into that. It's not like I'm recovering something. I didn't have to go into that. So I talk about wellness because I see all the illness all the time. I want them to be taking care of them ahead of them. This is one of the attempts to say, how can you take care of your mind so that it will not give you suffering, anxiety, and all that? Yeah, Sundar.
So I guess I think I understand what you're saying, and I think that you could also like bring physics into this and say that like Newton's third law of physics is that every action has a reaction, and well, I guess it's like every action has an equal or opposite reaction. So if you apply that against in terms of, I guess it's the same as like the yin and yang, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So like each decision you make, like, do you want things to stay the same, or do you want to change that?
Yeah.
And change your view, right? So like every decision essentially is what keeps you on that plane of existence.
See, Newtonian laws.
Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Newtonian laws, Trevor.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
They are truth at the time, but we have gone beyond that with the quantum mechanics now, right? That's one thing.
Okay. Yeah.
But if you talk about spiritual way, I will tell you this story of Buddha. This is what I learned from him. He said, somebody came and to him and said, hey, you wanted to understand suffering. You wanted to transgress suffering. That's why what you said was, I'm going to understand disease, old age, and death. Those are things, right, that really shaken him as he left the kingdom as a prince, and then he wanted to set sail to find out the truth. Then he found out the truth. He was really liberated from the suffering by his own understanding. Then they asked him, see, what did you do? You went and found out this, but you're still old, getting old. You're going to get disease. You're going to die like us. So where did you transgress this? Then he said, look, in the world, we have two arrows. One arrow is what is coming up in life from nature, from incident, from disease, whatever, right? The world will throw an arrow at us, okay? No matter who we are, we will have that. It is the reaction, which is the second arrow you can put into yourself by your own reaction. So what I am talking about is, how can you have minimal effect of that second arrow? Or no effect, because we are enlightened about life and understand this. First arrow, I cannot do anything about. That will happen. Storm can happen, accident can happen, disease can happen. All these people will have suffering somehow. But then, how do you react to that suffering is the reaction that you don't have to have. So essentially, mechanical thing, materialistic thing, Newton said the law is right. But human beings have this dynamic self. Do they have to react to the same extent? That's the question. The more enlightened, the more aware of you of the life, of the natural things of the life, because body and mind will go sooner or later. You'll have this. But then your response to the disease or death and all that depends upon your interior. So if you can develop that, then you can have a clarity of mind about this. Yeah.
So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I got interrupted there. Sorry.
Yeah. No. Go ahead, I'm done.
So I guess that still kind of rings true in a sense, because like that's the equal part of the reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Is that not?
No, the quality of reaction for the interior is different than the quality to the outward things. Science looks at the objects. You see, that's the thing, right? If you say, a lot of these psychiatrists now they have to go to behavioral medicine. That means they don't want to understand, explore the interior of the patient, but they want to give a medication and let them have that medication effect and take. So several people, I'm an internal medicine doctor, right? So a lot of depression, anxiety people come, and usually we refer them to psychiatrists if they are severe enough, right? They go there and then they get these pills and all that. Next time they go and they tell them, it's not working, I don't feel good, I still feel this anxiety or depression, whatever. They were told by the psychiatrist, you are supposed to feel, just continue to do it. That's it, So that kind of mechanical attitude to the inwardness is really causing havoc with the psychiatric field as a whole. They are supposed to sit with you and allow you to go interior and find out yourself what is going on. People don't have the patience, and the society build-up that is producing these kind of mental agitations or depressions, that has grown immeasurably. So that's one other thing is, you think people are only doing stuff, is it? But they are beings too. That is not addressed. That's why people are getting burnout, stressed out, and all that. There's no care. There was family structures are broken. Societies have become more like a individualistic and all that. So people don't have the same support that the ancient had. One village, Ancients had these sage people who are working for the welfare of other people and all that. Those kind of things, we can easily bring them back.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. I think I understand now. So.
No, as a physician, Trevor, now you see this is a very serious consequences, because ancients really worked on the holistic patterns of the body and mind within, and that way their measures are more lifestyle change, being closer to the nature, being closer to our own body clock, and really preserving our natural intelligence of the body and the mind, rather than going against them. But now we kind of allot people night duties, or we kind of allow people not to take any restful vacations or anything like that, right? All because we cannot lose the mighty buck. So I have seen so much suffering because of this shifted changes, or people don't pay any attention to the important thing in their life, as they're continuously thinking, and doing, and don't even take care of their nutritional needs. Sit down and eat, or they maybe just take a walk, or take a good sleep at night, or to just to calm down themselves. None of those things are there. So wellness is not valued. Rather, you only respond after somebody gets ill. And that is increasing our money like anything. People are leading lives, but then they're having chronic diseases without much improvement on that. And we are allowing these things to happen much sooner. 10-year-old is obese now. These things are not good. My thing is, why don't we understand we have a natural constitution that is homeostatic? And there are certain lifestyles that we can promote in the house and in individual lives. Thereby, they can minimize this damage that we are allowing to happen in the name of making a buck. Everything is sacrificed. That we have to understand and be intelligent. Then you can go and work and make money too, but at the same time, take time to take care of yourself.
Yeah, and okay. So, I guess what you're saying is like it's people are prioritizing wealth over health. Right?
That's
right.
It.
And that's, that's sort of become the societal way of thinking.
Yeah.
And I think that, and I think that's part of the problem is like everybody is so worked up about the superficial things when they don't.
Yeah, that's it.
Right. They don't take care of themselves internally for me, right?
If you take the spectrum of life, the people who are into the pleasure and everything pleasure oriented, sooner or later they find that's not so satisfying anymore. Okay. Anything you take it. And then the people who are accumulating either money or degrees or knowledge, whatever, after a while they find there's something empty within me. I have to find out. Okay. These two are real. And then you understand, okay, I need to have clarity in my mind. I need to have sanity in my mind. I need to have purpose in my life. Those kind of internal things will come only when you take a trip into your own understanding, into your own inner inklings and all that. Then you will come with a meaning for your life. You will come with a clarity for your life. Then you can go through that better. So like, for example, healthcare, as I understand, after 40 years of practice, this is all money. It's not about people being well. So I just want to contribute my bit, my understandings about being preventive, being well to begin with, and also having a good life. Okay, and that is very meaningful for me because with my understanding of where the illness can be controlled or stopped is much earlier than when it manifested. I'm talking about chronic disease. I'm not talking about sudden cancers and all that. I'm talking about these preventable things and controllable things: diabetes, hypertension, hyperlipidemia, COPD, all this smoking, alcohol. All those things are we can easily be intelligent enough number of people, and so that other people can be. But if the politician is doing all the drug addiction, all the things that is not good, then simple thing like move your body and rest your mind. What we're doing, we're sitting in front of the TV, not moving the body, and the mind running. That's exactly opposite to the wellness principle. Anyway, any other questions, Sundar? You have anything else you want to add?
Am I audible, Dr. Rao?
Yeah, you are better now.
I'm in my village, so
yeah,
the internet connection is slightly poor. Dr. Rao, my thing is about a little bit of neuroplasticity.
Yeah.
So it is very simple that what we practice, we become good at.
Yes.
So what if somebody has practiced distraction for probably years?
Yeah.
And let us say that the cause for distraction would be some underlying kind of phobia or a fear or some kind of negative experience.
Mm-hmm.
So how does the correction and the mind management in this case works?
First of all, this understanding, it takes a long time for the neuroplasticity to be beneficial or to be detrimental, right? But basically what we discovered is you are stimulating thought from morning till night and then sleeping on it and again get up and taking it up. Then you want to race it like it's a horse. You are banging it with a whip all the time. So it's going to exhaust. That's where the information overload burnout is happening, right? First of all, understanding this principle of what happens to the blood, if you allow it to, we continuously stimulate like that. Then understanding what are the things that are distracting me that I allowed out of ignorance or innocence, or just was born into that kind of hardness. Then sociologists and then other people, doctors, everybody should take a stand about these kind of lifestyles, and they do talk about it, and that should be a health principle that we should understand in the health care education for the children too. And then really understanding takes some time to establish these thoughts and also to eliminate thoughts. So you have to have a reversal of that, and then not allowing this to grow has to be practiced on a continuous way. That's where the discipline in ancient systems helped them. Whereas here now it's more like nobody has a discipline. That's just like we will do whatever we want. Then you are teaching all bad habits to the body and the mind. So neuroplasticity works when you understand, suppose somebody has a stroke and he has lost the function in one hand, and the cortical area that is representing that hand in the brain died, okay? That you cannot bring it back. What you can bring it back is doing those peripheral muscles, maybe they allow you only minimal function to begin with. But if you go on doing that, the function will increase because you are creating new cortex in the brain. That is the neuroplasticity. So you can make the brain plastic. You can allow it to grow or go down according to your understanding, your practice. So understand that this has developed because of my long habit of this particular thing. Now you want to withdraw it, then you have to have a long practice of withdrawing continuously. That is where a lot of people fail, because they succumb to unconsciousness or their habit itself.
Could you please repeat on that? How to, long practice of, we had got to withdraw those.
Yeah.
So where did it start and where does it end?
No, that's where initial methods of meditation happen, because you are not just shutting your mind, but you are just reflecting on your life, on your habits. And then you kind of deliberately bring back to your good practice and on a daily basis. And after a while, this becomes a habit, then you will be able to change much better. So at the initial time, like a rocket, when it needs a lot of thrust to go up, like you need a lot of thrust when you are reversing a habit. And that's where you need the support, you need the strength and all that. Once you give them as a society, as a healthcare management, as a family, and that person can come out of it. But that's why communication, awareness of how these things develop is very important.
Got it.
You're in matrix again, Sundar. Yeah. Anybody else has any other questions, or we can end here? No. All right, Sundar, I think we'll end the talk here because it has been more than hour and a half. We will do them regularly. So and then
sure.
Yeah, we'll explore more into these things and then see. I think the discussion is going to be next time on nutrition and next time on this neuroplasticity. Any number of topics are there. We can talk about it. But I've been talking about this for several years now. So since 1985. So as my understanding evolves, as I go in more, I added more stuff to it. So.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, everybody. Thanks for coming here, and I'll see you next time.